Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and welcome you all back to my next The 5 list, and present to all of you here on YouTube. And today is going to be the first of two lists detailing DLC potential choices that I want to see for a certain fighting game that has come out recently and has kind of got a lot of flack from gamers, a lot of negative feedback from gamers, and a lot of the build-up months for it is. And I've also talked about it on numerous occasions on this channel. And that's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, the latest Marvel vs. Capcom game. It's technically the 4th entry, but they're saying it's not a numbered entry. So maybe we'll still get Marvel vs. Capcom 4 one day. I have no clue. It all depends on how this game sells. And depending on the feedback I'm hearing from this game, it's good and the bad. And you all know about how my opinions on Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite have been. I did a whole freaking rant for like 16 some odd minutes talking about the lack of X-Men, and you can't go online on YouTube or wherever and not see some sort of criticism for freaking Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and the choices that they made and the stuff that they decide to exclude, which doesn't just revolve around X-Men, it revolves around a lot of other characters, features, modes, and stuff like that. But we're not here to talk about the complaints. I've already given my opinion on that. And we know that there's going to be DLC for this game. So there's the roster where it's at now is not going to stay where it's at now. Depending on how well the game sells and the DLC does, we'll hopefully see more characters released for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And so far we know about the Monster Hunter, and we know about Sigma and Black Panther and stuff like that, and we know that Venom is rumored and Black Widow is rumored and stuff like that. So this is going to be the 5 Marvel characters I feel should be DLC in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm going to have a Capcom list, just like I did my top 10s months ago. I did the top 10 Marvel and Capcom characters I want to see in this game. I did 2 lists each, and if I did it for that, I'm going to do it for this. So eventually within the next week, you're going to see a Capcom list, but I'm going to start with Marvel. So I can start off with, Marvel versus Capcom. I'll start with Marvel, and then I'll see Capcom list within a week or so. But this is going to be exclusively 5 Marvel characters I want to see on here. And just letting you guys know, and it's a big spoiler, there is going to be a X-Men on this list, but you're not going to find it out till the end, because I'm going to do that as my my 5th one on this list. So let's get started, before this video goes on too long, with my first choice for DLC of a Marvel character for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and that goes to Star-Lord. And I know we already have 2 Guardians of the Galaxy characters so far. We have Gamora, and we have Rocket Raccoon / Groot, which is 2 characters technically, but it's 1 slot. Oh, we don't need another one. But Star-Lord is the leader of the group. Star-Lord is the main Guardian of the Galaxy. I understand, okay, maybe I'm not including Drax on this list. And I was considering, it was a battle between, do I include Drax or do I include Star-Lord? But in my opinion, I think Star-Lord would be more of an interesting character to add. Not just because he's the main character, the main leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but because I think his moveset would be a lot more interesting. Drax would be more of just like a brute force sword guy. And we have that with a bunch of other characters in Marvel vs. Capcom, from both Marvel and Capcom. Star-Lord would be different. He'd be like a mix of Gamora and Rocket Raccoon, I think. Not necessarily in terms of, moveset, but like in terms of personality. He's not super serious, but he's not super goofy. He's kind of in the middle. He's not like a character like Rocket Raccoon, which would be more of a, comedy character with Groot, but not like super serious like Gamora. His moveset could be his various blaster rifles, his jetpack, and various interesting things. Maybe he could do some dance moves and do like his little wackiness character, add some of his personality, add some of his character to, to his moveset. Like, he's not a super serious guy, so his moveset should be kind of like a Deadpool character, but not as comedic and fourth wall breaking as Deadpool would be, but something similar in terms of like a moveset potential where it's like he's not super serious. He'd go around the battlefield doing dance moves, blastering rifle with his guns, jetpack flying up in the air, maybe a couple combos with his dance moves, and various other gadgets that he has and different abilities that he has. In my opinion, I know that there's so many other characters and teams and franchises and stuff from the Marvel Universe that has not even been included in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite yet, or even the Marvel vs. Capcom series in general, and including another Guardians of the Galaxy character might be a little bit much, but in my opinion, Star-Lord is like the one to add, and I think a lot of fans would at least appreciate having him there. I understand not putting Drax in, or an overabundance of maybe like 2 characters or 3 characters and adding more Guardians of the Galaxy. But if we get one more Guardians of the Galaxy character, in my opinion, it has to be Star-Lord, because I think you could do a lot with his moveset, and I do think a lot of gamers out there, a lot of Marvel fans out there, at least in terms of the Marvel roster on this game, want to see Star-Lord in this game. And I did see a lot of people like speculating and wanting to see him when the build-up and the hype for Marvel's Capcom Infinite was going on, and he's not on the base roster. He could easily be a DLC character. My second choice is going to go to the brother of Thor, Loki. Not just because of his importance now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because, he's a freaking badass. He's a cool character in there. He's such a lovable villain anti-hero in the movies now. But because of his history in the comics, it's freaking Thor's brother. He has his own set of movesets. He's not like super, power-based like Thor is. He kind of is more, quick and witty. He has a lot more like dirty-handed moves and stuff like that. And he's not necessarily a full-on villain, but he's not necessarily like an anti-hero. He's not a good guy for sure. But it's like, Thor, Loki, give Thor his brother Loki. I'm surprised Loki hasn't been included in any of the Marvel vs. Capcom games before. Thor's been in since... Thor was only in since like the last game, wasn't he? He wasn't even in the first 2. So it's kind of weird, like they never decided to even include his brother at some point, which he'd have to include Thor before Loki. But now that we have Thor for 2 Marvel vs. Capcom games, it's time to add his brother Loki. There's a lot of things that his personality will go right onto the screen. He's like a very mischievous, like underhanded character. He could cheat during the battle. He could use his magic, and I think he has like a spear or something. I've forgotten. I'm not super familiar with the Loki character overall between the movies and comics and whatnot, but I think his moveset would be such a differentiating moveset from, say, Thor, that it would warrant his inclusion. It is basically a villain-esque character. So Loki for DLC Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Give Thor his brother. The next one goes to a villain that was on my top 10 list, and a villain I see a lot of people asking for, myself included, especially because he was my #1 Marvel character. And it's because I really want to see him, and I find it so surprising he has yet to be in a Marvel vs. Capcom game at all. And that goes to Carnage. Carnage is such a badass murder, psychopath, killer. It would be Deadpool, take away the fourth wall breaking, and just slicing up with like hand axes and swords. Just a massive killer Deadpool character. He'd be wacky, crazy, jumping around the field, jumping around the battlefield, just wiping the floor with his opponents. And especially now with the Infinity Stones, you could really do some crazy, wacky combos with the Infinity Stones. Carnage is one of like Spider-Man's most popular villains, and it surprises me he's not been in the game. Like, it's surprising, like with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, especially the lack of anything but just Spider-Man is really surprising to me. I know we got Venom as a rumor, and Venom has been in the Marvel vs. Capcom games before since like day 1, but it's like, or Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I think specifically. But it's like it's fine. It surprises me the lack of like Spider-Man characters in the Marvel vs. Capcom universe, and especially it makes no sense in Carnage, because Carnage isn't one of his most classic villains like a Green Goblin or Doc Ock or whatever, but he sure as heck is played a major role since his inception, and he still is an iconic character, and he's one of the most popular villains of Spider-Man. And you can do so much with his personality, which would fit in with the Marvel villains, and the Capcom villains for that matter, and his moveset would be so much more different than any of the characters in the game. Why can't we have Carnage in a Marvel vs. Capcom game already? Capcom, Disney, Marvel, someone. That was my third one. My fourth one is going to go to a character who now has recently got his own Netflix series, and you probably already know exactly what I'm talking about, and it had a really cool Metallica song. And I'm surprised, just like Carnage, he has yet to be inside a Marvel vs. Capcom game yet. And that goes to Punisher. He is such an awesome character. I know they might not want to put him in because he's too violent and whatnot, but it's like he differentiates himself. He's not a Spider-Man. He's not a Captain America, an Iron Man, a Gamora, Star-Lord, Spider-Man, any of those characters. He's basically just a vigilante that goes out and, for his own justice, kills people and everything. I know that might be a little too dark for this game, maybe, but it's like you can still get away with it with being semi-lighthearted, where he's not going around murdering everyone. He might have guns, he has a shotgun, and all this other stuff, and just give him a moveset that's very weapon-based. You do it with Chris, and he has a freaking rocket launcher, grenade launcher, and all this other crap. He'd basically be a more violent Chris, and he has been in Marvel Comics for a long-ass time, And he's now getting a lot of use because of a Netflix series. His popularity is only going to improve, and he's been around long enough to warrant it. And the fact that he's never been in a freaking game up until this point, I find shocking. It was between him and Blade for this list, because Blade basically does almost the same thing except include a sword and be part vampire. But I think Punisher might make a little more sense in terms of like relevancy now, because Blade hasn't really been used outside of maybe comics and a couple of animated movies and whatnot for a long time, since like the old trilogy movies back in the early 2000s. But Punisher's being used now, so that's the main reason I picked him now. His moveset might not be as original as, say, a Blade, but I think he has more relevancy now to do it. And his moveset would still be interesting. It'd be a more violent Chris. Just take away the zombie T-virus stuff. And he'd be a cool character. And it's just like Carnage. Why hasn't he been included yet? And number 5, and this goes to an X-Men character, and no, it's not Wolverine, no, it's not Storm, no, it's not Cyclops, no, it's not Magneto or Mystique or any of those characters. It is, in my opinion, the best X-Men of all time, and that goes to Gambit. Bring him back. He was in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting, X-Men of all time. He has his staff. He does the psycho powers with the throwing cards. He just has a cool look to him, a cool personality. He's Cajun. He be hitting on all the Marvel and Capcom women. He's really a cool X-Men character. In my opinion, the best X-Men. I know Wolverine would probably get him before him. I know his chances are slim probably compared to Wolverine. But a lot of people love Gambit, myself included. He's my favorite X-Men. In my opinion, I think he's the best X-Men. He's not the most likely X-Men to get in as a DLC if they ever do decide to include X-Men as DLC characters. But he'd be pretty cool to see anyways because of his moveset, and it'd be a veteran character to bring back. All these other characters haven't been included at all yet before, so they're all 4 new characters. This 5th one is a veteran to bring back, and in my opinion, the X-Men character to bring back is Gambit. Not just because of his personality, not just because of his moveset, but because of his historic status with the damn X-Men. And he's very popular. And he'd be differentiating himself from a lot of the characters. I mean, Wolverine's not entirely like any character on Marvel's Capcom Infinite, nor Storm or Magneto or the Sentinels or whatever. But in my opinion, his moveset would be totally different compared to anyone else. Those other characters have some similarities to some people. He would stand out. So that goes, and that is my 5 Marvel characters I want to see as DLC in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We got Star-Lord, the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which surprisingly they picked Gamora over him, even though I think that's probably to do with Thanos being in the story mode of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and that she has probably more interesting moveset than he might have. 2 goes to Loki. Give Thor his brother. He'd be differentiated enough. He won't be like super power-based. He'd be more speed-based and mischievous. 3 goes to Carnage, one of my opinion the best Spider-Man villains of all time, and his psycho crazy killer personality would be very fun to see in terms of a versus Capcom game. 4 goes to the Punisher. Why hasn't he been included yet? He'd be so awesome with his guns and grenades and weapons. It'd be a more serious Chris. And 5 goes to Gambit, the best X-Men. The best X-Men. That's my list. Put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys agree with these 5 choices? And what characters from Marvel do you want to see as DLC in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? Put in the comment section down below. We can discuss it there. My name is Samuel Peace. Please subscribe if you want to, and stay tuned for the Capcom list and other 5 lists and other videos to come eventually soon too. See ya.